All right, you guys. How we looking? Looking good. Shout out to Full Moon. The regular council meeting for Tuesday, March 26, 2024 is called to order at 7:07 p.m. Let's first have a moment of silent meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all. I know that we don't have our clerk here tonight, unfortunately. And I know that the manager, this is not what she's supposed to be doing. She's our manager, not our clerk, but she's such a kind individual. Madam Manager, can you please do roll call for us?
It's my pleasure. You know, we always like to advance the business of the village anytime I can. But I just want to make sure we're doing things appropriate to the charter. All right, so a roll call. Councilperson Darian Martin is out this evening due to bereavement. Councilperson Anna Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Anders Urban.
Present.
Vice Mayor Louis Perella.
Here.
And Mayor Omar Nickerson.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum. Mayor Nickerson, also present for the record, is Village Attorney Joseph Geller and myself, Christia Alou, Village Manager. We also are joined by our zoning department, Ms. Scarlett Hammonds, and our building official, Mr. Pedro Martinez.
Thank you very much, Madam Manager. I appreciate it, / clerk for today. Thank you very much for wearing those two hats. I really appreciate it. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Urban. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Next is good and welfare. This is the first good and welfare. Anybody have anything to talk about according to what's on this particular agenda? You can come up and say your name and address. You have 3 minutes and the floor is yours. There will be another good and welfare at the end where you can talk about anything at all. And throughout the agenda, every agenda item, you can stand up and speak on that agenda item. Seeing none for good and welfare, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Urban. Do I have a second? Second by Vice Mayor Perella. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. The first thing is the resolution G1. Attorney Geller, do you have that in front of you?
Sir. Item G1, designation of green reuse area. Resolution of the Mayor and Village Council of El Portal, Florida, Miami-Dade County, Florida, making certain findings and designating the real property located at 8300, 8316, 8356, and 8358 Northeast 4th Place, El Portal, Florida 33138, identified by Miami-Dade County folio number 18-3207-020-0150, as further identified by the map in the attached Exhibit A, as the launch green reuse area, pursuant to Section 376.80 Florida Statutes of Florida's Brownfields Redevelopment Act, for the purpose of environmental rehabilitation, job creation, and promoting economic redevelopment, authorizing the village clerk to notify the Florida Department of Environmental Protection of said designation and providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
This is
it.
oddly, it is a resolution, but it requires 2 readings.
Absolutely.
This is first reading, mayor and public hearing.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much. This is wonderful, you all. This is another step in the direction of economic development, a new development that will be within El Portal, and it will be bringing our riverfront restaurant that we are so excited. So that's going to be wonderful, you guys. Do I have any questions or comments from the council? Good stuff. Hearing none. Do I have any questions or comments from the audience? All right. We'll open it for the audience as a public hearing at 7:11 p.m. Do I have any questions or comments from the audience about this item? Looking forward to a wonderful development. More steps coming soon. Closing the public hearing at 7:11 p.m. Do I have any last questions or comments from the council before I ask for a vote? No, we're good. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution G1? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second? second by Vice Mayor Perrella. I know we don't have our clerk today. No, you're good. It's no sorry. It's no sorry. We understand you're doing double duty. We appreciate it. This is for Resolution G1, Madam Manager. No, you're good. No apologies.
My apologies.
Resolution G1. We're doing roll call for this.
Okay, yes. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward? Okay. Councilperson Urban?
Yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor Perrella? Yes. Mayor Nickerson?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Moving on to ordinance G2. Yes, Councilperson Lightfoot.
Just a comment, it was a long time coming, we're finally here.
Yes, thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot. Absolutely, we really appreciate it. Great things happen in El Portal. G2 is ordinance first reading, amending the form-based code lot coverage. Attorney
Yes,
Keller.
sir. An ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida, amending the form-based code, Chapter 24, Zoning and Land Development Code, Appendix B, form-based code, Article 10, definitions and terms, lot coverage. Providing for findings, providing for conditions, providing for appeal, providing for violation of conditions, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for severability, providing for scrivener's errors, providing for conflict, providing for inclusion into the code, providing for an effective date. And that's first reading, Mayor, and I do want to thank Ms. Hammonds for all the work that she and Corradino Group did in preparing this.
Yeah, I'm going to have Ms. Hammonds come up on this. You guys, come up, Ms. Hammonds, please. Representing the Corradino Group. And so Ms. Hammonds is going to go into a little bit more detail on this, but basically kind of what this pretty much sums or comes down to, or what the sum of this is, the way this sums up is that so there's kind of like ambiguity when it comes to lot coverage. And so El Portal, in our code, we say that a certain percentage of your lot has to be greenery or green space. The problem is that with the lot coverage, we're trying to figure out, and we're going to decide, we're trying to figure out if the lot coverage should include the driveway or not. Because if your lot coverage includes your driveway, then if you want to put, for example, a second driveway, let's say if you don't have the space, you want to put a second driveway, you may not be able to, because if the lot coverage includes the original driveway, then the percentage of green space you need might already be to the T, right, to the limit. But if we say that the lot coverage doesn't include the driveway, then you may have enough green space to where you can't put a second driveway. All right, so that's kind of like, so we're trying to figure out just what lot coverage will include. Okay, in more detail, Ms. Hammonds, if you want to kind of break it down.
Thank you. As you may recall, this was brought before you as a discussion item at the last Planning and Zoning Board meeting. And really given the overall intent is to change the code so that we can provide a little bit more consistency for homeowners especially, and also for design professionals that are drafting up these site plans and looking at what should be considered when they're looking at how to fit the driveway and other different things that people want and just to have a nice backyard kind of thing. So right now we have 40% is the total lot coverage that the code allows, and we've given you a few examples in the staff report of how some of the design professionals have, used some of the, I'll say maybe they've been a little bit creative on how they describe what their structures and their coverage are in order to kind of create a little more flexibility for themselves as to how the lot coverage has been counted. So what we're proposing is adding this language that it will make it more clear that really any surface that's covering the ground and not allowing water to pass through is going to be considered lot coverage. That's really the intent. And just to note, it might be necessary to look at this a little bit closer in the future. Is 40% still the right lot coverage amount, or we may be a little bit come to you again and might need a little bit more flexibility in that number just to, you know, account for other things that people may want to do with their patios and driveways and those kind of things. And, but then again, we also want to make sure to balance with considerations for stormwater issues that are, you know, community-wide. So that's what we're trying to strike a balance with, not allowing people to have the ability to interpret the code to their advantage, to some, you know, almost entirely paving over their backyards and then driveways that, you know, are big, and then it just kind of, it just snowballs a little bit. So that's what we're trying to figure out, is a way to add language that will make it more straightforward. And we're proposing that really the word impervious is added, and that is going to cover really anything that is covering your property. So that's the intent, and it's just, you know, definitely open for your discussion, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Questions or comments from the council?
Just a comment, or I guess discussion, I guess. So in the language, as far as structures goes, like uncovered wood decks, pools, and trellises, right? So I think it's a little bit, what we're talking about is ground cover, ultimately. We're talking about how much of the lot is covered by something that will not allow specifically stormwater to pass through.
Correct.
So I think a lot of people think that these rules are perhaps for aesthetic reasons or because of like an HOA type of mentality, you know what I mean? When in reality, the reason for this necessity is flood mitigation, right? So, so it won't, if we don't do this now, an insurance company is going to be requiring municipalities to do this, or else they won't do business in those municipalities anymore in the future. And I will just say this, and hopefully this will temper the feelings about this particular issue tonight, because what I see on the horizon is with the water table rising, I expect that there would be a recommendation from planners that no more swimming pools be allowed at some point in the near future, because dropping, like what we're talking about here in terms of covering the lot, right? So you put a concrete deck in the backyard, you have a wide concrete driveway in the front. You're taking away square footage, you know, a chunk at a time. And that increases the amount of rainwater that goes into the streets or into your neighbor's property or somewhere else. And it creates pooling, laking, all of those effects that go along with. I think we got 3.5 inches in less than 36 hours just in this past week. I've got a rain gauge. It fills up pretty quickly these days. So,
Wow.
So having said that, you know, digging into the ground 8 feet at a time to put in a pool across the entire county will have an effect on raising the water table. This has already happened in other municipalities for other reasons in the past. We know this to be the case. So I think it's a bit of a challenge because we're trying to parse a nuanced subject here, because what we're talking about is flood mitigation, but the consequence is I can't put what I want on my property, and when in reality you can, but there is going to be an additional cost in terms of a permeable driveway versus a traditional concrete driveway. So therein lies the problem. So there you go, my 2 cents.
Thank you, Councilperson Urban. Anybody else from the council? Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I read this with much interest. My property doesn't flood. Properties on my street flood, and they roll that way. I'm the first one on the corner, or the last one, depends on who's reading the Globe. I don't have that problem, but I have seen it where concrete has made the reason for this.
Absolutely, right. It's
Concrete.
a basic science where if water can't go through, it's got to go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere. With this in mind, did we see this before, or did something happen? Because sometimes the village does flood.
So, no, this suggestion is not based on a specific flood event, if you
Okay.
will. It's based on just really trying to get to a better way that we can communicate with homeowners and design professionals that are submitting these site plans. And, we've got some new construction coming through, so that, that is, an opportunity for people to, if they interpret this. So one of the changes we're also suggesting is to clarify what's meant by deck. Make it a wooden deck, because that makes sense, because water can flow through a wooden deck. But if somebody were to interpret a deck as any substance, anything that they consider their deck, maybe a marble deck or, pavers, where that's not the same thing. So that's kind of what we're trying to really get at a better definition, so that we can have it so that people can still enjoy their yards and have a nice livable area, but it's not going to impact as much as if
Last
they
but not
interpret deck in a different way.
Last but not least, since we're doing septic to sewer, what's the impact there also? They're gonna dig up the road. They're gonna run into a lot of challenges.
Definitely.
County is doing septic to sewer. This won't have an impact.
No, I don't see that as an issue. That we're looking at stormwater and just individual properties, and not necessarily the sewer system.
Gotta dig it up. I'm talking about the reality of digging it up,
Mm-hmm.
putting the pipes in, and it's in front of my house. And that's gonna either elevate the road, or my property's gonna be lower, one way or the other. I'm more concerned about the impact it's gonna have on, properties that have been here since the beginning of time.
Yeah, so in our analysis, we didn't go into that type of
But you
review.
understand where I'm going.
Yes,
All right,
yeah, we did.
I'll
we
leave
did.
it for another day.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else from the council?
Just a quick comment.
Go ahead, Councilperson Urban.
Yeah, not to throw another wrench, but so just to put on your radar to be thinking about, because you said when you said pavers, this made me think that I do believe that at some point in the near future we're going to have an argument essentially over what counts as permeable,
Sure.
specifically in regards to driveways, specifically in regards to driveways that are mostly concrete with thin strips of green.
Mhm.
And then, but if you watch them get built, it's all concrete. There's nothing permeable at all under those surfaces. And so, so I believe that might be the next thing to put on.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
and I've dealt with that in other cities. We have ways where they can, people, developers and homeowners can submit spec sheets, and they actually do give you the percentage. And they're, if we want to in the future, and we start getting a lot of these,
Yeah, so I think if we want to get out ahead of,
we can kind of, we
Yeah.
can look at that and see that, hey, if there's an allowable small percentage of a paver driveway that we could live with.
Right.
And then make a kind of an exception for that.
because I think this language is very helpful. It's going to iron out the wrinkles and help, make things more efficient in terms of the communication between all the parties involved that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, thank you.
And so, but the consequence of that be, well, where's the next bottleneck going to
Yeah.
happen? And where I see that happening is with
I
with
100% agree, yeah.
pavers and driveways.
Yeah, we've already thought
Yeah.
about that, yeah, and we've have experience with other cities, so we can come to you with other suggestions.
Thank you, Councilperson Urban. Anybody else? Anybody from the audience, you guys, about this lot coverage? Any questions, comments? All right, hearing, seeing none. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance G2, first reading, amending the form-based code for lot coverage? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Erbaum. All in favor. Madam Manager, if you can, please have a roll call.
Okay, yes, you may. Councilperson Ward. Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perrella. And Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Hammonds. Appreciate it. Moving on, you guys, agenda item 188 Northwest 89th Street, discussion and possible item. If I can have the homeowners come up, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing? Say your name and address for the record.
Dutney Mayard, property address 188 Northwest 89th Street.
Okay. Thank you very much. So you're here because to close out your property, you have some outstanding payments.
Yes, some re-inspection fees that's needed to be paid in order to call out inspections to get the finals done.
And you don't feel like you should pay the final reinspection fees?
Yes, that's correct. Besides the hardship, it was a time lapse that we went through and getting the finals done, and the time lapse was error done on, I feel like done on you guys' behalf. And we endured it and we got through it, and we're here now.
What's that? Our officer says per our policy, we have to evacuate.
Do I have a motion for a recess? Motion by
Seconded.
Vice Mayor Perrella. Do you have a second for a
Seconded.
motion for recess?
Yep, second.
Second by Councilperson Erbaum. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing none. We're recessed for 7:29 p.m. The regular council meeting for Tuesday, March 26, 2024 is called back to order at 7:32 p.m. All right, you guys. Okay, so you were saying you felt that you shouldn't pay it because you felt that it was the village's fault.
Yes.
Mhm.
Basically, when we did something, I guess a mistake on our fault, there was a consequence for it. So I'm just saying that you guys did something wrong on your behalf. If you guys could just help and do a courtesy as far as to just help with the reinspection fee. It's not much, especially opposed to what we had to deal with the mistake that you guys cost us.
And what was that mistake?
You guys gave us approved plans to go ahead and to build on our home, and then after you gave us a stop order because you said you guys forgot to tell us to go through zoning first.
So you said that we gave you approval to build, and you built without permits?
No. I built with approved permits from you all.
Mm-hmm.
So I had approved permits from you guys, and then almost a year later, you guys gave me a stop order, a red tag. And the reason for the red tag is because you guys said we made a mistake and approved your plans prior to having you go into zoning first.
Okay, so the building department approved your plans without zoning
Correct.
approving your plans?
Correct.
All right. Mr. Martinez, what do you recall about this situation?
Yes, I understand that happened, that we found out a variance was needed because the project was too big. It was an addition to a house and the addition was too big. So the variance would have been gone through before or after.
Mhm.
So the time it would have been the same. They applied for the variance. They could still continue pulling the permits, which they didn't for the fence and the driveway. The permit for the fence was not pulled, was built without a permit. That could have continued,
Mm.
and it was not done. So the variance really does not take time from the whole project, because it would have been taken at the beginning or almost towards the end when it was called through.
I'm sorry not to cut you off, but I beg to differ. Your stop red tag stopped all our projects that we had going on.
Yeah.
We even had a pool that you guys stopped. We were not able to do anything. So, because you just, it sounded like you said
No,
the
I understand.
variants were able to continue and we were still able to work on other
no.
parts of the project, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it did not stop the revision, the review of permits. When you were pending, I think you had the driveway permit pending, you had the fence permit pending, and that wouldn't stop. The review and approval of
Yes.
those permits would have not stopped. Now, the variance would have stopped the constructions at the beginning anyways.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's
So
exactly
it's
what
just saying
happened.
the same time lapsed would have happened at the beginning. You would have started later with the variance at the beginning, or you finished a little later because you had to go through a variance
No,
anyways.
the time lapse in the beginning would have had us prepared to know that we have to go through a variance before we can even start construction, and that would have a whole different budget. Because the fact that we had to stop.
Okay,
during
excuse
the-
me to interrupt. You're a developer, right? You
Excuse
were
me?
in a development
Yes.
company? It's not the first house, right?
Yes.
It's not the first municipality you go and build a house to flip it, right?
Well, this is actually our first project that we
Is it?
did in your city, yes. it
Oh,
actually
in
is.
our city?
Yes.
Okay, but not in the county?
Actually, in the county, from what we've done, yes, because we do fix and flip, where it's just
Right.
renovations.
So do you know, does any other municipality have you go through a variance after, just to the fact that you remodeling or
variance is
doing?
done before the
Excuse me,
fact.
let me talk. That you adding more than 50% to the property?
Yes.
Okay.
What was
So-
the question? No,
Yo,
repeat
do
that.
you know, did any other municipalities
Yes.
require
Uh-huh.
for a contractor, a construction site that's being constructed or built, more than 50% of the existing structure or dwelling to go through a variance process?
Every municipality is different.
No, the whole county, isn't that the requirement for the county?
I am not sure if it's the entire county, but anyway, no matter if it was only here, that is published rule, it's a public knowledge, and it's due diligence from the developer
Right.
and the architect to
Right.
read the municipal code and interpret it at the time of application. So that is supposed to be known. Law is supposed to be known by everybody. Mr. Geller would say that, and that's kind of almost the entire world.
Okay.
Because the house doubled in size. The house was barely 1,100 square footage, and it went to, the new addition was 1,200.
What's left to be owed? How much do we have left to be owed? What's,
We
what's,
have
what's
some-
open?
We have some reinspection fees and also some other permit costs that's owed.
So you have the
Reinspection fees.
the re-inspections are like 75,
It's
75?
$80, I believe.
80,
each
80?
one, Yes.
And then you have,
Some permit fees.
permit
from-
fees?
Yes, from a fence or a door. I mean, I believe altogether, it should be less than maybe $500, I believe.
No, the fence permit is, because it was done without a permit, is double fee, so it's 15, 20, and 60, $1,520.
Okay, so we have the fees, we have the 75, 75, or 80, 80. And then we have the 15, 20, 60.
Yes, and the driveway was also built without a permit, double fee, $955.52.
And so I get, what Vice Mayor Perrella was kind of getting at, so he's trying to say when you go into, or if you guys are used to building properties or developing properties or redeveloping properties, have you guys done before where you develop a property to this extent beyond 50%, where the home now is 50%?
No, sir, this was our first project, and I will hope the city of El Portal would,
So this is but this is your first project, period, anywhere?
to this capacity, yes.
So this is your first project going from a certain size to 50% larger?
Yes.
Okay, and so, but being in this industry, I think what Vice Mayor Perrella is asking, being in this industry, you had no knowledge that for things like that you would have to go through a variance process
Yes,
or?
I have a lot of experience with the city and permitting.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm saying is that when you get to the city and you do your permit application, the city directs you on exactly what you need and not need to do because they're the ones that have the rules and regulations for you to tell you, hey, this is what you need to do if you want to get this done.
So you're saying that when you came here and when you went through the process, since they didn't tell you about the variance process in the beginning, that the building department overlooked it and therefore you didn't know.
Correct.
And now you feel like you're being held up from completing and closing this out because you found out later that there was a variance process for that property.
Sort of. To go a little bit further, because of that, like I said, it costs us a financial hardship and distress. Now, what I'm saying is that
What do you mean by the financial hardship and
because
distress?
the time lapse that he's speaking of, and that's what I was trying to explain earlier, the time lapse came during the actual time in construction. See, when you have your construction loans, it's different phases in how you pay from a soft cost to a hard cost. So had we knew that we had to go through a variance, we wouldn't be in the midst of paying the actual bid project, the building, because we're actually building. So for us to stop during the process of building, it costs us almost, I think, $10K a month for the loan that we had because we actually had a buildable loan where we were supposed to be done with the whole project within a certain time period. So the 3 to 4 months that we had the time lapse that Pedro was speaking of, it was during prime time of us building. It wasn't prior. So had it been prior, that makes a whole different ball game because we're not into paying 10 grand a month for a loan because we're anticipating to be in and out.
Okay. And Pedro, they have, is it 75 or is it 80?
$75, but for the final mechanical inspection, final plumbing, and that was in this is a problem because this was due in January 4th.
So are you saying
we're
is it more now then?
It's gonna be, no, it's the same fee.
It's the
but-
same fee?
But the financial cost is so high, and you're almost 3 months later still arguing about $150. It's very difficult to understand.
Yeah.
It is very difficult. You could have the house sold, you could have a contract already,
I've been trying to get her for
and,
almost
and
3
we could
months
get all
to
resolved that,
to speak about this, and that's
this
another
doesn't
thing that's
hold it.
frustrating.
Mhm.
Exactly what you said. You know, I had to go through all this to get it in front of the board meeting when I asked you guys politely, hey, can you guys just waive the fee?
We
so I
cannot.
could go ahead and
I explained
and
to you,
move
we
forward.
cannot waive fees.
So that's
We-
why we're here now.
Yeah, I cannot waive fees,
That's why
but
we're here now.
So we
I
have,
paid 30 grand a month, guys. For 3 months because of the time lapse that we're speaking of. It was 10,000 a month we had to pay. That's not a little bit of money to pay because you guys decided to not tell us in the beginning that we should go do a variance first. That's all you guys had to do at that time. When I submitted the application to you guys, all you had to say is, sir, you have to do a variance first and not approve our plans. And if you did not approve our plans, we would not be moving forward to be paying 10,000 a month for 3 months because of that.
so we're talking about 75, $1,520.60, Mr. Martinez,
and
and
955.
955.52.
Yes,
Plus the additional fees that those are just extra penalties that you guys have because of the fence not being closed out or after the fact.
being built without a permit. The
Correct.
fence and the driveway built without a permit, and not being there, not leaving the plans and the door open for the inspectors.
What
to go
about,
in
what
and
about
approve.
125 for the certificate of reoccupancy?
Certificate of occupancy is at the end, has to be prepared. It takes some time. They have to read the plans and put square footage and everything sent to the property to the county appraiser.
And you're asking to have everything waived, all of that?
Yeah, I think that's fair, depending on the money that we had to pay for the time lapse. I think that's not 10% of what we had to endure for those 3 months.
So you're talking about $2,761.72 total, more or less, like that, I mean, not more or less, that's what it is. What is this 150? This 150 is, that's what he wanted waived originally, correct?
Yes.
The 150, okay, but he's talking about now $2,761.72. So I see on this side, he's saying that this should be approved and we should waive this fee because since the building department didn't tell them about the variance in the beginning, they lost a lot of money or spent a lot of money that they didn't
Yes.
have to, and therefore we should eat this. The argument from the other side is that the variance could have been done after the fact or whatever, so it didn't really stop them
It
from
was
doing.
necessary no matter what, it was always
So,
necessary.
so it didn't stop them from doing what they could have done, so,
That's not true,
It
sir.
didn't
When they
hold
gave
them
us a
back.
stop order, you cannot say that, I'm sorry. Mayor, it's hard for him, he's
Mm-hmm.
contradicting himself. If he's saying the permit application was able to move forward. But work-wise, construction-wise, we had a stop order. So how do you say you move forward when you're in the middle of building, working, and you stop it? You're not moving forward at that point.
do I have any questions or comments from the council?
My comment,
Councilperson Lightfoot.
my comment is, what's the total we're talking about? 27,000, 2,700?
$2,761.72.
Yeah. Let me see that. 6,112. And you want all that waived?
Yes, I think, that'd be a good gesture for the city for all that we've been through, especially that I asked at the beginning.
It's a yes or no question?
Yes, ma'am, yes. ma'am.
Okay. Even though you owed 75 for reinspection fees? You
Yes.
want that, why would you do
150.
that if you owed that for reinspection? I haven't even gotten down to the 1,520. I'm confused about the 75, and then once all completed, a fee of 125 will be due for creation of the certificate of occupancy, which you did not also get, right? So I'm looking at it like this, Mayor. The 75 come to 150. The 125 is, he's already admitted to that one. Let's do this amicably. $1,560 includes code enforcement fines and permit fees. That is not the total, which my colleague here showed me, that it's actually $2,761.12. Yeah, the whole thing is 2,561. If you do, I mean, common sense is oftentimes not common, but this is very common. The fence was built without a permit. You have not denied that, okay? So why would I not find that a penalty of 1,520 when you don't even, you admit that you did not have a permit for that? Mayor, I'm making a suggestion that the man to be released from the oaths of the 75, 125, but he has to pay that $1,520 and some
Can
cents.
I tell you, okay, about the fence?
Well, hold on,
Oh, I'm sorry.
hold on.
Okay,
I got permission to speak,
yes, ma'am.
and with that speaking, without you keep going, I'm more interested in us finding a amicable way of looking at this rather than just simply throwing in the towel. Do you know how many people that's probably gonna do the same thing when they see this if we don't address it properly? And you have not denied that you built without a permit, the 1,520.60 is due. That's what I'm talking about. The rest of it, that'll be the vote of the council.
That's what I want to address. Am I able to address that?
Mhm.
Okay. Again, with the fence permit, we had a GC working with us, and they the ones who told us that you don't have a fence permit, even the driveway permit. We thought all that was considered with the general, GC or building permit or something, and they said, no, it's separate. So, soon as they told us that we needed a fence permit and a driveway permit, we pulled it immediately. Now, far as doing the work, because we still have to go and fix the fence. We haven't been able to complete the fence because we have stop order. And then we addressed the fence issue, and, I believe, I can't remember the nice lady name, Ms. Lou, I believe, she said that she was gonna help with the fence, when we had a meeting here and we spoke about it, and you said you was gonna help with the fence, fees, not to worry about it.
No, I wouldn't have been able to adjust fees. Sir, you met with me, you met with the mayor, you met with our building official, you met with planning and zoning. We had a huge meeting with you
Yes.
and went over dates, and this was more than 3 months ago. This was
Correct.
several, it was almost a year ago.
Yes.
And we
yes,
outlined everything that you needed to do
Yes,
and everything we were gonna do.
yes.
And we thought we were working well with you.
We were, that's what.
So I don't know where this fell apart 3 months ago for you.
Well,
Yeah. May I say something, please?
yes.
You still don't have a fence permit, so we cannot inspect it.
We submitted a fence permit to you guys. It's been submitted.
Was it paid? It's submitted, but did you pay the fee? Because I have to pay the inspector to go there. We have to pay the inspector his car and everything to go and inspect. You did not get the permit. You have to pay for the permit. You submit, one thing. The other thing is to pay for
So
the
the
permit.
fence permit wasn't paid for. Is that what you're saying?
It's not paid for, has not
Okay.
been paid for, and the driveway either. Because if I were you in your place, I have them approved. I have a house for sale of $1.65 million. I get those permits and have everything closed to date so I can put it on the market. It is on the market, but I'm not running against the clock for closing later.
Yeah.
So, and you don't have the permit yet.
The property's on the market for $1,649,000.
Yes.
99.7.
99.7. There's also, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, along with the 1,520 for the fence, there's the driveway right beneath it, the 955.52.
Right, so the application's approved, but the permit has not been paid for, therefore we have not been able to inspect.
See, I have to say something. See, because it's funny. You have all these investors now, home flippers, whatever you're gonna call it, with all these LLCs, which they dissolve after they sell the house, so nobody else is responsible but the new owner. So I guess a lot of them have tried to cut corners and get away with stuff. Not saying that's it might be your case, but when I did my house 7 years ago, first time home buyer after having a condo, you don't have to do anything. And I came to the village to pull out permits. I knew as a homeowner, contractor, that all the other permits for fence and driveways and possibly pools or whatever were sub-permits, that the master permit was only for the dwelling, for the main construction of a house. So now you get all these investors and they trying to play like, if you excuse my language, dumb, and say, oh, I didn't know I needed this permit. Oh, I didn't know I needed this permit. So it's kind of like, trying to play you, and there's no reason for that. The code is there. When you as a contractor or as a builder should do like Mr. Martinez said, your due diligence and find out what is it by law, what is allowed and what is request from the specific or particular municipality. So it's an unfortunate situation, but I'm aware that we're not supposed to even, waive any fees by law or, the permit fees
Yeah.
and all of that.
That would lend itself for me to run my own shop with my friends and waive their
Let me-
fees.
Let
So,
me,
no.
let me understand, okay, this is where I went with it, okay, from my understanding. The reinspection, is because we called for an inspection fee, and we wasn't there. It was due to me speaking to someone, but that's fine. And because we wasn't there, we have to pay a reinspection fee, correct? Correct?
Correct, that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah,
So,
'cause
Hold on.
we came down to the
Hold on.
city.
I wanna make
Let him finish.
We came down to the city.
I don't believe that's correct. Oh, hold on. You're saying if only the property had been left open and available, the inspection could have been done without them
With the
being present?
plans. We need the plans and the permit.
But if
Plans
the,
and the permit
if
and
the plans
access.
and the permit were there, they
And
would not
access.
have, they would not have had to have physically been there.
No, yeah. But
I just want to make sure,
And these could have
this
been,
is part, because part of what he's saying is,
The plans were there.
but part of what he's saying is, you're saying this is a problem because I physically was not there, but I just want to be clear that what you needed to get that done was the plans, the permit, and an access to the
and
property.
access to the work,
Okay.
right, which is inside the house.
That was there, but that was there if that's the case. We had the plans and the permit there. We wasn't there.
Exactly.
But you're
Inspector
saying
needs
that
to
you're
go.
able to do it? I didn't even know that. We have the plans and the permits there.
Yeah, but
Okay, you guys. So where we're at right now,
Inspector
so.
Peters.
Wait, but this is important. I didn't even know that. This is information that you say to do your due diligence to know.
Yeah.
So you don't play dumb. So I'm learning, and I appreciate that. So you're saying that if you have your plans and permit there, you don't physically have to be there to do an inspection. And that was the case for us.
most people would leave somebody because we need to leave the front door
No,
open.
we're not saying most people. We're
No, no,
saying
no, I'm-
that if you have the plans and permits.
And access.
On the
Plans,
property.
permits, and access to
So
the work.
wh-
So
why-
inside the house, somebody needs to be able to go in the house.
So
and
why
inspect.
did we have to have a reinspection fee if we have plans and permit there?
He's saying because the door was locked,
It's
basically.
3 things: plans, permits, access.
Our door wasn't
And
locked.
you didn't have the access.
Okay.
It happens all the time. We have to pay the inspector when he goes there,
No.
his time, his car. everything.
Now, Mr. Martinez, you also, the building department is not making, the property owner, open walls or, you know, making sure all
No,
their
no.
work was done, not even that. You're
No,
not
it's
even
just-
making them destroy the house just to make sure that all their
Yeah,
work was
the
done.
plumbing-
We
perfectly.
did permits and they inspected it, so
They
there would be
inspected the
no
plumbing and
reason-
all of that.
But the
Yes, we-
inspector goes there
We pulled
to-
permits. This
Okay.
wasn't a job done without permits, sir.
Excuse me, sir. The inspector goes there at final to make sure the valves are correctly installed, the holes in the wall are covered so vermin don't get into the house. It's small little details at the end to make sure everything's
I
working
understand.
correctly.
I understand.
And
But through the process, it was after the fact that you guys went and inspected everything.
It's the final.
And everything was fine.
mechanical inspector.
Yeah, it
goes
happened to
there
me.
check.
I was building the driveway, and I called for a final inspection. When the inspector got there, he said, no, but you need to fill out the gaps. You need to see what material you put in there. So I had to come and pay for their inspection. $50 was at that time, 5 years ago. It happens. I mean, when you're not informed all the way, you know, little things could happen.
Yeah,
yeah.
and we must proceed the same way with everybody,
All
to
right.
be fair.
Yeah. Okay, you guys, so, so we're at $2,761.72. That's what's owed. So we either have to make a decision where we want to, you know, have them pay what is owed in full, or there could be certain deductions. For example, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward said that she would want to deduct the reinspection fees and the certificate of occupancy. That comes to $275 being deducted. That would leave him to pay $2,486 instead of $2,761.
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor, when we had the stop order, when you guys referred to the fence again, we're going back to the fence, we weren't even able to get an inspection. Pedro is saying that the application did get processed, yes, but as far as work being done, we would not be able to call for an inspection. So again, we're being penalized for a stop violation that you guys caused, and then you're penalizing us for it. Because we wouldn't be able to call for an inspection for the fence because we still haven't got the variance approved.
I understand what you're saying. Let me just go down this really quickly, and then I'm gonna open it up to the residents, and then we'll come back to the council. So we're at $2,761.72, you guys. We can either say that he should pay that as a whole, what's remaining, or we can deduct from that. If we go with Councilperson Lightfoot Ward's plan, we're talking about him paying $275 less. That would be him paying $2,486.72. We have that. Just the re-inspections and the certificate of occupancy is $275. If we wanted to waive all the permit and code enforcement fines and things like that, and just make him pay the re-inspections and the certificate of occupancy, that would be $275. His view is that he shouldn't pay any of the $2,761.72. I'm opening up to the audience. Anybody come up, say your name and address for the record and let us know. How you doing? Say your name and address for the record.
Junior, my address is 113 Northwest 105th.
What's your last name, Junior?
Junior Herbo. The problem is, I don't think he should pay it due to the fact that, like he mentioned, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. Not everyone have the same rules. I understand it might be a state, county, but not everybody. So when you come with where we're trusting the zoning department or the building department to give us the layout, you can't stop us in the middle and tell us, oops, that's what you guys did. We made a mistake. And then we have to suffer as well. We're just looking for some accountability with everyone, because we stopped. I mean, we couldn't even walk through the property. It was literally, no, don't come. Yes. So now, no, don't come. And then when we come here, we're cool with Frank, with everybody. He's like, please, guys, a stop order. So I'm not knowledgeable what you're saying, because we couldn't even touch anything. Lights go on, neighbors want to know, everybody want to know, because it's a stop order. So we're just looking to be fair, 27, and then plus, what he'll say, 10,000 per month, just waiting on a meeting.
And the meeting, I'm sorry,
And I think
took
we
another
spoke to
3 months to do. You
we
guys
spoke to
pushed us back and
everyone
pushed
we
us
could.
back. I say 3 months to be honest, if we look at the timeline, honestly, this is a 6-month delay.
And if we could,
Really, if we break up the timeline, Pedro, you should have it there. It's not a 6-month delay.
We
We're
can
saying
show-
3 months.
we can
This
show
is at least
email.
a 6-month delay. I'm saying 10K a month, this costs us a lot more.
And
This is
then
why we're in a financial
you
distress
said,
now.
you said something about, oh, did they go look in the walls? Sir, we got everything permitted. They came and checked off everything.
Yes.
It's just one day, oh, finals. Oh, sorry, guys, you can't make finals and everybody's just looking at us like, that's not cool. We got to finals. So yes, all the back walls, all the lines,
Everything checked
framing,
by building.
mechanical, everybody came every day.
Yes,
So how we know we're doing something wrong when they came every day for
every day.
8-9 months?
Yes.
So now we're finished. Can we get finals? Oh, sorry, guys, you guys gotta go through 6 months of this.
Still
And I'm
going
talking
through.
about, we emailed everyone that we could've. Every day, we harass. They know us very well. It's not about being petty, what is it?
It's accountability.
Come on, we really had to pay 10,000, fix and flip loans. And we had to stop, so we couldn't even get what was spending back, cause there's no way we could've showed them, oh yeah, this permit was passed, cause we came to the city building and they told us, sorry, our fault, we forgot to tell you. And we didn't come do anything but went through the process. That's all.
All right, let me jump in here. Appreciate that. Let me jump in here real quick. Let me address the meeting situation really quickly. So first of all, earlier we were talking about the meeting. So February 23rd is the first time I got involved in this situation. And that's when you wrote to Clerk Jacoby. And this was going into the council meeting last month, right? Which was after February 23rd. It was that next week. So this was Friday. So you know our meetings are on Tuesday. So on Friday, around 12 p.m., where myself and Clerk Jacoby, we're doing the agenda usually starting Tuesday. We usually finish it around Thursday. So on Friday, you wrote to Clerk Jacoby, hi. This is what you wrote, and I'm CC'd. This is the first thing I ever heard about this, like I knew about it. It says, hi, this is you. You say, hi, I'm requesting to speak at the hearing, as I was told that my request needs to go before the board. Please add me to the meeting. Thank you, and in good faith cooperation with you all. I appreciate that. So when I saw that on Friday afternoon, when the meeting's already done, I didn't even know what it was about. You see what I'm saying? So there's no way I could even put it, first of all, the agenda was done. Secondly, there's no way I could put it on the agenda because I didn't even know. So as soon as I saw that, I called Clerk Jacoby. I said, Eunice, I was like, Jacoby, what is this about? And she was like, I don't know, Mayor. I said, well, how am I supposed to add when I don't know what to add? You know, so when you say that you've been waiting all these months for a meeting and things like that, the first time I heard about it was Friday, February 23rd, right before last month's meeting. And with that email, which, you know, I appreciate you sending it, I had no idea what was going on, but with that email, it was too much ambiguity for me to even move on it. You know, hi, I'm requesting to speak at the hearing as I was told that my request needs to go in front of the board. Please add me to the meeting. Thank you, and in good faith cooperation with you all.
That was information that I received.
So I didn't even know what it was about. So that's why last month when you came, I said, well, reach out, and then I'll definitely have you on this
Yes,
month, which is
yes,
what I did.
yes.
So that's kind of how that went. Are we hearing no more from the audience? Okay. You want to come? Yeah, you have to come up if you want to speak. Just come up, say your name and address for the record. And the floor is yours, my brother. Just come and say your name and address for the record. How you doing? Good to see you as always.
Hello, guys. Sorry, my name is Eric. I'm a neighbor, and it seems to me
Say your full name and address.
Yes.
Okay, Eric, 311 Northeast 86th Street. That good? Okay. It seems to me like whose job is it to give the right information? It's the city's job. So if he came through the city to get the right information, and then he learns that that's not the factual information, I don't even understand why this guy is being provoked, because I see like I put myself in his place, and I would be like having a hard time to just calm myself down. I sympathize with you. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anybody else from the audience? Come up, say your name and address for the record. The floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Thomas Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. In service of not just, the circumstances being discussed here, but for the betterment of the community going forward, I have a few points I'd like to share as I'm also going through a home renovation, so I have worked very closely with the village and through the village's building and planning and zoning officials, which is facilitated through CAP government. And I have to say, there's many errors and miscommunication and delays repeatedly over and over that you do really have to, be on top of it continuously. And there was a lot of, in my case, smaller mistakes that were not caught by the planning and zoning people in terms of not reading documents correctly, whatnot, that delays the process more and more and more. As I have heard this conversation unfold, to me, it doesn't seem so adequate to, reduce fees that exist and that are on the books to compensate for errors that the village or building department or CAP government created. It actually sounds more like a lawsuit coming at the process. And I have an open question in regards to with the fees and even potential lawsuit when it comes to the process with building or planning and zoning or any of these services that we have outsourced to a CAP government or a Gov pilot or Cordino Group or Pluserbia or other entities. How does the village treat that? Because I think in some respect it's not just the village coffers when we're talking about this $2,007 number, but I would assume that part of that, if not the bulk of it, is then being passed along to this private for-profit company, CAP government and others, who are not making the process easy and facilitating it for the villagers in a really, outstanding way.
So you're asking if there's a lawsuit and if we ever get sued over something like this, will the money that's coming out of that be then moved over to CAP government or Pluserbia or whoever made the mistake?
Who collects the $2,700 whatever fee?
Mm.
Where does that money go? Is it correct that's what percentage of that is going directly to CAP government? And then in case of a lawsuit, who are the named parties? Is it Village of El Portal and, for in this instance, CAP government, LLC, or whatever their entity structure is?
Mm-hmm.
Or what would that actually look like? If I was in a situation and I was losing $30,000 or more because of something that should have been caught before, I would be talking to attorneys to represent me.
Yeah.
And going through that angle.
Yeah. Okay. So in these fees, there's the permit fee, but then there's some code enforcement fees. Permit fees and anything having to do with building, it goes right back to building. So 100% of that will go right back to CAP government as far as the permit fees. Code enforcement the code enforcement portion that comes to the Village of El Portal. As far as who you would sue, Attorney Yeller can chime in on this, but when you're doing a lawsuit, you sue whoever your lawyer feels should be sued. Okay, you can go ahead, Attorney Yeller. Like for example, if I want to sue if I want to sue a company where I slipped and fell in their organization, let's say, I don't want to say any company's name on record, but if I want to sue that company, I would probably sue, my lawyer might tell me to sue that company, but also sue whoever the cleanup company is also who messed up the floors or left them too waxy or whatever. But that's kind of up to like your personal counsel when they're doing a lawsuit. They usually try to go for everyone that could be named in that lawsuit, Attorney Geller.
Well, I mean, you said it exactly right, Mayor. Somebody brings a lawsuit, they sue who they want to sue. It's not a case where the village would be bringing the lawsuit. If the village brought the lawsuit, we would decide who we were going to sue. But, if the individual decides to sue, he can sue whoever he wants to. He could sue us, he could sue CAP, he could sue pretty much anybody. The village does, maintain insurance for this kind of thing. That's one of the things we belong to the League of Cities for, and we have their insurance, so they would be responsible for defending us. It's not necessarily going to be an expense for the village of El Portal, other than if there was, depending on the nature of how the case ended, it could, even if it's adverse to us, typically that's what we have insurance for. And let me just say, and Mr. Martinez said it, I mean, the village is never perfect. No government, no group of human beings is perfect, and sometimes mistakes can be made. But the law is, for instance, if you build a building, and this happened on Miami Beach, they built a building, they had permits, but somehow the building was not designed to be ADA compliant. And it wasn't noticed till final inspection. The building was built. But that doesn't mean that if a mistake was made, that doesn't mean that you get to ignore the codes. If there's a mistake, so be it, but that's why people hire competent professionals to assist them that are supposed to also know the law. That's why people hire architects. That's why we require architectural plans and engineering plans. Now, that's not to say that the village doesn't have the ability to waive or reduce some of these fines and fees. You have the ability to do that. You're empowered to do that. But buildings have to be built subject to inspection, subject to all the rules so that they're safe. And the number one issue is, are they safe? And you can't say, well, we can have this building be in any shape we want because, oops, a mistake was made. No, it has to be fixed and it has to be conformed.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, just to clarify, so I'm specifically talking about the village and us being aware of where our limit of liability is when we are outsourcing and paying and trusting these for-profit companies who just collect the fees and it goes straight to, their for-profit company.
Yeah.
How we're treating that and what the balance is between, the builders and residents here and, the process. I agree that there should be accountability, and some ability to, how does that occur? And so
I understand. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Pulliam. It's just until a lawsuit comes, we don't know, because sometimes, and this is the last thing I'll say about that. Sometimes, let's say, for example, and this is hypothetical, right? But sometimes if someone was to, if a mistake was made, let's say, by a cap government or something like that, hypothetically, if someone was to sue, let's say, the village of El Portal, and let's say the village of El Portal would lose, then the village of El Portal could turn around and sue cap government, for the, so it just depends, just depends. Where ultimately it could come out of cap government at the end, even if somebody was just to sue us first. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I just want to point out that there's a distinction between obviously like what y'all are doing here as officials, and then a reminder that again, most of our services are outsourced, contracted,
Absolutely.
and we need a way as builders or residents to really get good quality responses and answers and be set up for success instead of continuously being denied and having long periods of time of that denial and then reaching out to get clarification and that, again, adding more and more time.
No, I understand. Thank you very much, Mr. Pulliam. Appreciate it.
Yep. Mr. Mayor, can I say
Yes,
something?
of course.
As building officials and inspectors, we all have our own personal license, and our job is to make sure everything's done according to the law, and most of all, safe. Like in your case, sir, we have to make sure your house is being rebuilt in a safe manner. So if your plans don't, no, but I'm, in your case, it's everybody. We have to make sure that house is rebuilt safely. We don't know who's gonna live there or not.
And by the way, that doesn't have nothing to do with the variance issue.
Excuse me, no, nothing to do with that, but that's our goal, that's our obligation. So in this particular case, I could have done the cowardly thing and looked the other side, hope nobody catches it. And then the future owner gets the problem. We had to bring it forward because that is the law. We have to comply with the law no matter what. And that is our obligation. We have to be transparent and fair to everybody. Some people have better projects and they go smoothly. and they have better engineers, better professionals helping them, and they get a better product. When I was working as a contractor, I had good teams of engineers in some places and bad ones. And with the bad ones, it took me double or triple time to finish because my professionals were not that good, so I tried to stay with the other ones. But that's the nature of the building construction business. But
Thank you.
sorry, I needed to say
No,
that.
thank you very much, Mr.
Mhm.
Martinez. Appreciate that. Anybody else from the audience, you guys, before I turn it back to the council? No, we're good. All right, coming back to the council. Okay, so you guys, where we left off, so the full amount of what's quote unquote owed is $2,761.72. We could either waive it all, or we could, which is what the client wants to do, or we could say that he should pay all of that remaining cost of $2,761.72. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward made a suggestion to waive the reinspection fees and certificate of occupancy. That would bring it down less $275. Therefore, the amount that the client would have to pay is $2,400 instead of $2,700. It would be $2,486.72. There's also the case where we want to waive all the permit fees and the code enforcement fees, but just keep the reinspection fees and certificate of occupancy, then the client would pay $275. Do I have a suggestion from anyone on the council that we can make a motion on?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
it is very clear. It says fence was built without permit. Nothing else said anything that negative. It talks about what's due. It talks about reinspection fees. The only reason I tried to provide for a compromise is because that's old. Reinspection is old, period, both of them. But that's not the real deal. Building something without a permit, that should never be. That's why I stopped there. And the fee for 125 due creation of the certificate of occupancy, in good conscience, sir, if you know you didn't pay for the certificate of occupancy, that would be yours to come in and say, I'll also include the 125. I'll make sure it gets paid. That's it. We're through. But to think that we can just allow a situation at this stage of the game, allow a situation to go untested just because we're a little bitty city. Someone's already tried that.
Ma'am, I don't know.
I'm still talking. And I'm trying to provide for a reasonable medium. That's a good word, right? A reasonable medium. But to think you're gonna be without harm to the village? Come on, man, we're trying to make sense of this. And had we known before all of this, the fence was built without a permit. The rest of it says something that is just not. Okay, just not. He does his job, he brings the information to us. That's what's owed. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about fence was built without a permit.
Yes, ma'am. The fence wasn't built without permit on purpose. We had a lot of permits in, master subs and everything, like I said. When they informed us that, hey, you also need a separate permit for fence, we went and submitted the fence permit. It was a whole new renovation, as you can hear. We added a bigger house that was there before. So we wasn't trying to sneak behind the bush to say, hey, let's do this without a permit. We pulled all our permits. Every permit that needed to be pulled was pulled. And when it wasn't pulled, the moment the building told us, hey, you need this permit, we pulled it right away. We wasn't hiding it. This was something we was doing secretly.
But it was already built.
It was built in the fact, that's what I'm explaining to you. It was a lot of construction going on, man. It was a whole renovation being done. So everything was being done at one time. It wasn't like this. Everything was being done at one time. One full gut job. So everything was happening all at one time. During the process, they noticed the fence, the driveway. They say, hey, you guys need this because we see it, you don't have it. We pulled it right then and there. All this work was being done simultaneously. It wasn't like separately. This was all being done at the same time.
But you'd already built the fence.
Yes, and that's when they explained to us and we pulled the fence permit. But just to acknowledge what you're saying, and I do agree with you, The bottom line is, you're saying that we built the fence without a permit.
That's
True.
what I'm saying.
And now because of that, you're saying that we need to pay this fee, correct?
That's the only one.
I agree. Now, this is exactly what the council is saying. Because we built the fence without the permit, it should be an accountability. I agree. What is the city of Village of El Portal accountability for costing us 3 to 6 months because they gave us a stop order after the fact? We submitted, we came to you guys correctly with everything. We gave it to you guys. You guys approved it. Not only you approved it, every time we called for an inspection, you came out and you inspected. Mechanical, plumbing, electrical, everything until we get to finals. Then you give us a stop order. So what is your accountability for the Village of El Portal to cause that? What are you saying is your accountability for that? Since you want me to pay the fence, what is your accountability for that? For the building to give us the approved plans to go ahead and do what we needed to do, and then gave us a stop order a year later, and then cause us 3 to 6 months delay because of the variance. What is that accountability? That's all I need to know, please. That's all I'm asking.
At a previous planning and zoning meeting, you were approved for something, correct? What was that? Approved for the driveway?
And after the fact.
And that was an
variance.
after-the-fact
After the
driveway,
fact
wasn't it?
variance.
So the driveway was already done, and we still approved it for you, didn't we?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it's called an after effect permit. That's what we.
And we had to approve it after the fact, because normally it would be approved before the fact, correct?
Yes.
And that was an outrageously risky thing for the village to do because it opens the door for other
So,
people
so
to
that's
come
one
and do the same
example of
thing.
how the village lived up to and fessed up to a problem.
Most municipalities, when we're speaking of, since this guy brought up all cities, most of the time when you do a job and you have to pull a permit after the fact, that's what most cities do, is approve it after the fact. That's something common.
That's not common because usually people do it in the correct order, therefore there's not an after the fact. So I remember when that came before planning and zoning and it was done incorrectly and it had to come to us for that particular purpose. I just wanted to give that.
You're right, Mayor, you're right.
No, but it's all good. I understand what you're saying.
I
though.
agree with what
I just
you're
wanted to give a
saying.
little
I'll
example.
take that, that's true.
No, it's
I
all.
do acknowledge that.
It's always good to find. It's always good to find common. It's always good to find common ground, my brother. We're gonna see if we're gonna help you out. All right, so you guys. So just the last thing that I need to know, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. So you're saying that we waive the reinspection fees and certificate of occupancy, or just the reinspection fees?
The inspection fees as well as complete a 125 certificate of occupancy.
Okay, so then
Waive those two and let's go home.
Okay, waive that. So then it would be.
1,520.60.
It would be that would be 486.
How are you doing your math? How are you doing your math?
So you
I said
have-
one number.
You have $2,761.72 would be the full total. All right? What do you have as your full
Fence
total?
was built without a permit, $1,520.60. I'm not concerned about the rest of it. Just that one thing he has to pay.
So
We
you're
will
not concerned
waive
about the
rest.
driveway?
The driveway in and of itself, I'm not showing a number here. I'm copying Mr. Geller. Help me.
Right under the fence.
955,
Driveway.
it says includes, it says do this, it includes code enforcement fines and permit fees. So that 152 does not cover that. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
My apologies. Okay, that would be an increased number. Yes, it would be.
So what we'll be talking about is $2,486.72.
That's right.
All right?
Is it really 72? 115, 20, 60 plus 95552? That doesn't look right.
Can I ask, Ms. Lou opinion about the fence?
Well, hold on a minute. We're trying to work something through.
Well, it's minus $10. It's minus 10 cents. It's minus $10 because I had the beginning 80 and 80 instead of 75 and 75.
Oh, well, that's not,
So take it down $10. So
Mayor,
Yeah.
15, 20, 60 plus 955, 52. Those are the two numbers I'm talking about. That's it.
15, 20, 60, plus 955,
955,
52.
Pay that and we go home.
2476.12.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you have, 2476.
.12. You can drop the 12 if you like, or leave it.
You guys, if you drop the, come on, you guys.
You just drop the 60 cents and the 52 cents,
All right.
okay?
Do I have another suggestion?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Was the fence built up to code?
Yes.
Sir, when you came to ask for the permits.
Say your name and address again.
Do I have to say it again?
Yes, yes, say it.
Eric Monteiro, 311 Northeast 86th Street, okay. When you came to ask for the permits, did you ask about the fence? And did they know of the scope of the project and what you needed to do? Was that like clear?
Yeah, I mean, we just submitted our plans to them. We just submitted our plans to them. I don't know to what degree if the scope was clear to them. I'm not sure, to be honest. I know that the plans that we drew, everything we said we were gonna do, we had it on the plans. And,
That includes the fence.
was the fence on there, Pedro? Do you know? It wasn't on there, right, on our original plans? Is that why
But
we
the-
had to do it?
Yeah, but the fence is not approved there. It's a separate permit. It has its own inspections. That's why.
The question is, was the fence included in the original plan?
On the
Yes,
master
in the
plan,
site plan,
right.
yes, not the details of it.
Yes?
The site plan shows where the fence will go, but the fence itself is not approved in the permit.
Okay, so yes.
Mhm.
So if he came to the city to understand what he needed to do to comply to the laws, and that wasn't explicitly told, he wasn't told that he needed that permit. And that happened to me because when I moved to this city, I came here to ask which permits I needed, and nobody told me I needed an alarm permit, and I came from a condo. So one day, the alarm goes on, and we don't have a permit, and I need to pay $100. And I thought that was totally unfair, because that was the first thing I did. I came to the city, and I asked which permits I needed, and I wasn't told that. And I paid for lots of other permits that I was told. So if that was on the plans, and he built the fence up to code, and he tried to correct it right away, I don't actually think he made a mistake. I mean, this is,
Sir, that's why we actually approved the driveway, because even though it was done without a permit, it was built up to code. It was 7% over the lot coverage, but being the size of the lot and the size of the driveway doesn't look massive. It looks, according to the property. So that's why the approval was granted. But nobody here has a magic ball to know the intentions of the owner, whether they're gonna build a pool just with a master permit, or put a fence, or put a driveway. That's why there are sub-permits to do all of that, not just a master permit. So that's all there is. There's nobody's fault but the one that's actually building the house or doing the build-up.
Yeah.
And may
For
I-
for your question, I'm sorry.
May I just also add, we did have a very inclusive meeting. I think some things were done improperly initially, and it brought us all together maybe about a year ago, where we all sat down for at least 2.5 hours and went through it step by step with the gentleman here. So that's why when I said, I thought we were all on schedule, where did it fall off the rails? Because we laid out everybody's responsibility and what was expected and required. So this is why we're later down the road now, and now it's falling apart, and we're trying to decipher that.
But with regards to your question, we still don't know if it was built up to code, because the permit was not pulled. We have not been able to inspect it. The inspector will go there and see they use the proper materials to build it. He will check the post to make sure the concrete goes all the way to the bottom, because sometimes people put a little dab of concrete on top and everything's loose. And some other little details that the inspector has to check. He has not been able to do it because he doesn't have a permit yet.
can I ask a question to where the money that you pay for those fees go?
Building department.
Yeah, 100% goes to the department.
Because it seems just that, in his case, it's really like a situation that happened to lots of our friends and homeowners. they start a renovation, and when they have to stop in the middle of the renovation, it's very costly. Everybody knows that. And I don't think it's unreasonable that he's here pleading and explaining the situation. I think that we could, I suggested, find a friendly solution. But it's too expensive. It's too much. I think he has a point. This is my personal point of view, and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much, you all. Appreciate it. All right, so here we are, you guys. So we have the full amount. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, just so we're on the same page, the amount you're talking about is $2,476.12?
75.
$75?
Just take the change off it.
Okay, all right, $75 and no change?
That's right.
Okay. All right, so you guys, we have the full amount, $2,761. We have the amount that, in lieu of the reinspection fees and certificate of occupancy, that's the Councilperson Lightfoot Ward plan, that's $2,475. We also have, if you guys just wanted to make him pay the fence permit, that's $1,520. If you just wanted him to pay the driveway permitting fees, that's $955. If you just want him to pay the reinspection fees and certificate of occupancy, that's $275. We have
I move to support Dr. Lightfoot Ward's proposal.
okay, so $2,475. So your motion, Councilperson Erbaum, is that the client pays $2,475.
Yes.
Do I have a second for Councilperson Erbaum's motion?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Madam Manager, may I please have a roll call?
Yes, absolutely. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perrella. Mayor Nickerson.
No.
Okay, the motion passes 3-1.
All right, so you have to pay the $2,475.
Thank you. But
Thank you.
here's a quick question, ma'am. You was adamant about me paying the 15 and the driver, which I get. But you're not adamant about me paying the 10,000 a month that y'all gave me a time lapse that was due from you guys, or however it works, and I had to come out 30 to 60K. You think that's equivalent to 15, 26? You want to tell me, and not 56?
Yeah.
What
I hear what you're saying. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. I hear what you're saying. But this is what it is with the 2,475. You always have the option of seeking in a lawsuit. Yeah, absolutely. All right. It's all good. All right. Next, we're moving on to the manager report. Madam Manager, your report, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Lots of things happening this spring. Happy spring, everyone, in El Portal. The Miami-Dade County Water and Sewer Department began a sewer line project here in El Portal. It's brand new, something that we weren't even aware of until we saw some roads being blocked off. But we're happy to have this finally coming to El Portal. We understand there's a new project. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Point of order.
Okay. So that, okay, thank you. So just beyond the radar, that we have a road closure at 87th Street and Northwest 2nd. It's supposed to be for 1 week, we're told by Miami-Dade County. But they are constructing a force main line there that will start or will kick off the septic to sewer conversion. This is going to be a multi-year process. As I understand, funding is coming in tranches, but that is a good start. So we're happy to have that. The unfortunate side of that is it closed down our nature trail. The El Portal Nature Trail is closed down because it's being utilized by with this project. So we'll keep all of our residents posted, and I did put an information worksheet information sheet on the village website for your, just so you can get a little information about the project. And we're meeting with the county tomorrow. Commissioner Hardiman's office will be spearheading that so that we can get more information and pass that along to our residents. FPL finished its LED light conversion project in the village of El Portal. So all of our lights are now, all of the FPL-owned lights. We have 151 FPL-owned and operated street lights, and they are all at 3,000 Kelvin, which is the warm yellow light. That is to help us with our, we are a bird sanctuary and tree city, and we like our community to look picturesque even in the evening, while still providing safety. So that conversion has been completed this month, and we're excited for that. And if there are any outages, please continue to report them to FPL, as well as to the village if you need that assistance, because we'll do the reporting as well. And also FPL will be conducting its annual village-wide vegetation maintenance, so they'll be going around cutting vegetation from their lines only. So just be mindful that that's what they'll be out there doing. The Cavista rental development is well on its way. It's any day now going to be receiving its certificate of occupancy. So expect some new residents, some new neighbors on our annexed area. Starting, we're hopeful for April. And I think they're well on the way. And as you know, they came before the council tonight to have a green reuse dedication for their new project. So lots of things are happening on the annexed area, which is here on 83rd and Biscayne Boulevard. A way that we can all work together. We mentioned this, I know Councilperson Urbom mentioned this tonight, and the Vice Mayor has worked on this, and the Mayor has worked on this extensively, resiliency in the village of El Portal. We are having a community workshop on April 9th here in the Village Hall. I'm putting that out to you all. It's on the village website, but I really encourage you to come, but also participate. There's a QR code here for you to take a survey to talk about what you are experiencing on the village swales and streets. That's, the part that you are to maintain as residents, but it's owned by the village. But, parking is an issue, growing sod is also a problem in some areas, the root systems from trees. So we want to really address, this need for the village. We also have flooding and street erosion. So those are things we really want to plan for as we develop this resilient streets and swales master plan. And that will also amend our existing stormwater master plan. So we're looking toward the future, and we need your help. So April 9th, 6:30 to 8:30 here in the Village Hall, and we want to hear from residents, and also you're able to do the survey before the meeting as well as after, but we'd like to get as many people to weigh in before so that we can use that information in the meeting, but you're always able to access that. So please look out for that flyer, and please attend if you can. The family size ADA compliant restroom in the Village of El Portal tot lot is finally ready. We got our certificate of occupancy today. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Finally, we got it. So the ramp is ADA compliant. Everything is ready and set to go. We will, in the time being, until we are able to get a security door with maybe a code entry, we have the key that will be here in the Village Hall. So parents can or visitors can utilize that by coming to the village front door, and then we'll give them the key, and then we'll check it out and try to figure that out until we can get the keypad in. But it will be available, and we're really happy to finally have it, because that's been a long time coming. And again, going back to, we thought this would take a month at most. This is only a 150 square feet project, and it took almost a year to get this bathroom built. I mean, wow. But it's here, and we will have a ribbon cutting or something. We have to do something to celebrate that bathroom. But so speaking of parks, as I said, the nature trail is closed until further notice. The upside is hopefully we'll be getting a brand new nature trail once the project is finished at someone else's expense, not ours, because the county did commandeer that spot. And I understand that the county owns that nature trail because it's considered a play street. So it's actually belongs to the Department of Transportation and Public Works. We are required to maintain it as a park, but they do have the right to come in and do, so they are, and I'm sure they're gonna restore it and make it better than ever. And just finally, I'm gonna wrap up with just giving you an update on the C7 Canal Bridge, or the bridge at North Miami Avenue. According to the county, it continues the work, and the manhole and drainage pipes on the south side of the bridge are being installed and worked on, and they are doing some preparation work for the bridge deck while the pipe crew finishes their work. So I know that we have the representatives from County Commissioner Hardeman's office here, and they said that they would do the best they can to champion our village in this respect, because we've had a lot of traffic issues and cut-throughs and so many problems with that area, and it's taken way too long, but I'm hopeful that your projected completion dates are upon us. That concludes my report, and if anyone ever has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Manager. About her report?
Yeah, no, I have a question to ask.
About her report or just in general?
No, good.
It's about the report, I didn't understand about going for.
While she's coming to the podium, Mayor.
Yes.
Carolina Serrano, 389 Northeast 89th Street. You mentioned in the report that we're going from sewer, from septic to sewer.
Yes.
So that's new?
Yeah.
Yes, we just found it, and in fact, I wrote to you last week. I think you got information before I got it. Unfortunately, the county, I guess, reached out to the residents, but they didn't reach out to the municipality to tell us that this project was starting. And so that's why I mentioned that we just found out yesterday. And so you were right, and I was going to follow up with you.
So, so for new properties that are going to build a septic, we should wait just for the sewer?
Yes.
And how long it may take that?
Well, for that, I do not know, but I think you should go ahead and proceed with the septic tank. And I know that's, unfortunate,
That's-
because, but
the
this
new
is-
septic tank costs at least 30,000.
yes, they are,
So what will be, the
we-
advice?
we don't know. And it's a county project, and they are putting in just a forced main line. So that's not something that can be accessed by residents at this time. So we're still waiting on our project that we were, working with Miami-Dade County to start on the west side as well. And that project hasn't come on.
So
Like it.
any ideas about timeline?
No idea. I'm
So-
so sorry.
Madam Manager, it might be, with the revelation of this, what this project is a necessary component to then build out the sewer system. So this is a necessary, it's actually the end piece of the sewer system. And with that connection, then projects can begin to essentially start connecting to that piece. So I imagine that with this question, there's probably going to be a lot of rumors and, confusion about what is happening. So, so we might be looking to have a town hall again, just as an update to the residents of what the status of septic to sewer is, because I know a lot of residents are figuring out, do I plan on continuing to maintain my septic system, or am I at the verge of being able to get sewer, which will have a cost? Do I put my money into maintaining my septic, or save it for being prepared to hook up to sewer, right? So this is the calculus that everyone's dealing with right now. So we might need to do something in terms of getting clear information out to residents so that they're not
Yeah,
jumping
we-
the gun.
Yeah.
Jumping the gun on that one.
I highly appreciate it, because we are just.
Some parts of this
the
village,
project.
it might be almost 10 years.
Right. It's
Before-
not
but
gonna
yes.
be-
That's exactly what we
Yes.
want to know.
So-
What is the timeline? Is it gonna be
gonna
1
be a
year,
while.
2 years,
Right.
3 years? We
So,
need to know.
so with this project that's occurring right now, that timeline will begin to come into focus.
Okay.
The timeline is not in focus right now. Not even for the priority, which is Northeast Second Avenue, which is the
Right.
commercial corridor. That timeline's not even in focus yet, even though we know that's gonna be the first component that gets done. So with this project happening, the overall timeline will begin to come into focus, but we're not,
Right now.
yeah. It's still very abstract in terms of timeline.
Right, this project that started, that you knew more about, this is just connecting the city of Miami to El Portal through the canal, but there's nothing else that's gonna come from that. But it's a start. So like Councilperson Urban said, I mean, it's necessary to get all of these pieces in place, but we don't have a timeline because funding isn't there and we're still waiting for county go-ahead. And I know they aren't able to do any work with us until they secure all the funding. I'm sorry.
I do have more questions, but I don't know if that's the right time to ask. I have more questions, but I don't know, it's not the.
Good and welfare?
The mic.
We still have good and welfare coming up, right?
Yeah. All right, let me just straighten this all out. So at the end, we have a good and welfare where you can talk about anything at all. So right now, I was just seeing if anybody had any questions specifically about the manager's report. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes, about the manager's report. The nature trail. You know, there's portions of that nature trail that floods on Horseman's side. I hope that this construction, I have not been out there talking, okay, will see that, because it's rained in the last two, and they should be able to see that there is a tendency for the water from the Horseman to come into the trail. That's why you see it the way it is sometimes. And
that whole area
that in
floods.
itself is what I'm more concerned about, because just to fix the trail, just to do what they're doing for flooding, that to me should be included. That while the nature trail was built perfect, as time went on, we realized that water that kept flowing from the school continued to flow. Yes, it was, exactly, it went down, and so I'm concerned about that, and if they don't know that that's happening, they should have known in the last few days, because it rained good here.
Right, it rained incredibly over the weekend, so I think they do, but I'll make sure they know that too
All
when we discuss,
I love
when
the
we have
trail.
our post-construction meeting.
Yeah, I love the trail, I'm right down the street from it.
We just can't pass the buck on that water activity, because then right behind the nature trail is the row of residential properties, so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Any other questions about the manager's report? Hearing, seeing none. Just want to say really quickly, you guys, that a good thing about it is with the septic sewer, the first phase we're looking to start on the west side. Let me say that we already have the money for the pumping station. Shout out to Mayor Levine Cava. Remember this at the ballot box. Shout out to Commissioner Hardiman. So that first phase of our septic sewer is going to be paid for by the county. And that's because of our relationship with Mayor Levine Cava, with the Resiliency Department, with Debbie Griner, with all of them over there. So they're giving us millions and millions and millions of dollars. All right, because under this administration, we have those connections, and I'm all over the county. And myself and Manager Lou, we're always in these meetings, and we built these relationships, so it's paying off and saving our taxpayers a lot of money. That being said, you guys see my report, the mayor's report there. There's some stuff that's missing, but I don't know. We'll see about that next month. I don't know, man. The Clerk Jacoby left off some things. I think she was in a rush. It's all good. Attorney Geller, any reports?
Yeah, just one thing, just the continuing saga in Tallahassee. So they passed a terrible short-term rental bill, but it's not clear whether the governor's actually going to sign it. There's a lot of pressure on the governor to veto the bill. I mean, it's like a little bit, frankly, damned if you do and damned if you don't. The existing law was not strong for municipalities to exercise control. Most people think that the new law would be worse in terms of that, but I mean, it's not like, it's not like one from column A and one from column B. It's complicated. There are a lot of provisions in the new law. Some of them aren't bad. Some are terrible. But regardless of that, I don't think he's hanging on our every word to make his decision. And he has, I think it's 15 days from when they transmit this to him, but sometimes those things aren't transmitted for weeks. We're very much on hold to see what law we're operating under. At this point, with the delay that's already taken place, honestly, I can't assure the council that we're going to know in time to prepare our agenda for the next meeting. That's frustrating, but that's the reality. So that's where we are with short-term rentals. There's gonna be a law, the old one or the new one, and we must comply with it. We just have no choice about it, and so we just don't know at this point. Thank you. That concludes my report. Nobody else has sued us, and we haven't sued anybody.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for Attorney Geller's report?
The state legislature in Tallahassee it passed a new law. It's gotten through both houses. A lot of times, one house will pass it, the other pass it a little different, and it doesn't get done, but they agreed. So the legislature collectively, House and Senate, have passed it, but it only becomes a law. The governor has to choose whether he's going to sign it or veto it. There is some provision if he chooses to let it become law without his signature, but that gets to the same place. It's just, so right now we're waiting to see what the governor is going to do and whether the new law is going to go into effect, or if the governor were to block the law that passed this year, we would be operating under the law as it existed before this session of the legislature.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for Attorney Geller? All right, hearing, seeing none. Now we're moving on to good and welfare. This is the time where anybody can come to talk about anything at all. But first, I'm going to start with Commissioner Hardiman's office. Y'all are here. Y'all looking dapper. You know what I'm saying? Y'all looking nice. Y'all kind of matching. Like, you got the turquoise, you got the dark blue. You know, I see, and I like them shoes too, Miss Augustine. I see you doing it. Can y'all come up and just, say what's up from County Commissioner Hardiman? We appreciate him and appreciate sending 2 of his top representatives. I'm talking about top of the top. Y'all gonna be together. Come to this one. If y'all gonna stand together, come to this one. So he can get the camera angle. He can get y'all real good. He can get the shoes and everything. I appreciate y'all.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rosie Augustine Jean Lewis. This is my coworker, Marcus Barfield. He's the district coordinator. I am the Intergovernmental Affairs coordinator with County Commissioner Keon Hardiman. It is our pleasure to always be here with the Village Council. Our report for this month is that Commissioner Hardiman is hosting has a Keon Hardiman Small Business Grant that is opened. It opened last week, Monday, and it closes next week, Monday the 1st, and it is for-profit businesses in our District 3 area throughout Miami-Dade County. So that includes City of Miami, unincorporated areas such as Brownsville, El Portal, as well as Miami Shores. So if you're a for-profit business with less than 10 employees, you could qualify. The application is on our website, it's on our Instagram, easy access, it's really straightforward. There's a QR code that you could look up, and it just gives you the details. And if you have any questions or need further information, you can always call our office, 305-636-2331, 305-636-2331. Manager Lou definitely gave our North Miami Bridge update. There's nothing more that we could ask or we would add. The contractor is staying up to date with our office and letting us know, so the manager's report was accurate as of today. If something else has changed, we'll definitely share with the manager and as well with the village so that you guys are aware. Manager Lou is correct as well that we do have a meeting with WASD about the septic to sewer project that is going to be occurring near El Portal through El Portal to help the residents of District 3. Yes, there is portions of it that's going to help the unincorporated area, which is east of the village, but the plan is to eventually get to El Portal or to go through El Portal. We'll have additional details, so I don't want to speculate as to timeline. The mayor was absolutely correct that we don't have the forecast, and I'm uncomfortable, or we're uncomfortable sharing today that it'll be done in a year, government. So we're trying to keep everybody's feet to the fire, but we will keep you guys very updated, note to note as to what's going on. Thank you so very much. Any questions for the council persons, the vice mayor or the mayor? No. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And tell Commissioner Hardiman we appreciate it. Sending his very best over here to us. 2 of them, not just one. He sent 2. Jesus Christ. Good and welfare, anyone can come up and talk about anything at all. Come up and say your name and address for the record, and the floor is yours.
Carolina Serrano, 389 Northeast 89th Street. I just wanted to know if there is any plans for repaving some of the streets in El Portal or not. Because there are some streets that are full of holes.
Yeah, okay, full of holes, like potholes?
Yeah.
Or
there are
bad
holes
streets?
And bash and terrible
Okay,
streets.
so potholes, we've done 2 phases so far. Have we done 3? I thought we did 2. So we've done 3 phases so far. And so potholes, if there's a pothole that you know about, email us and let us know where, because we can do the potholes easily, pretty easily. And they're not cheap, but we have the funds. We can do the potholes pretty easily. As far as full street coverage repair, I know that other individuals have brought that up also. That's a lot more expensive. And it's just, we just have to get the money for it. As far as full street
Yeah,
repair.
but there are some streets that, I mean.
What street in particular
the
are you thinking
89th
about?
Street especially, when
Eight-
you go 89th Street, and also enter here to the city of Portal,
Mhm.
it's terrible.
Okay, well, this one right here is when they did the work, that was recently. And so we'll speak to the district's office about that. That was recently when they did that work, probably in the past like 8 months or 7 or 8 months. That's when they did that work. And they just didn't, when they finished, they just didn't re-repair the street correctly. So that's, resurface it correctly. So that's what that is. As far as, you mean 89th Street, like the northeast 89th Street, like
Yeah,
east
it's
of?
from northeast to, I think it's northwest of First Avenue, whatever. Yeah, that street, that piece of the street is terrible condition.
So 89th Street, is that North Miami Avenue to Northwest First Avenue?
No,
North Miami?
it's more to the northeast.
More to the northeast.
It's roaded, but it's not, it doesn't have potholes.
Yeah, but
I
it's-
pass by too because I live on 89.
Okay.
Yeah.
I pass by, to go to this side almost every day, but they're not potholes.
Yeah,
It's
but
just roaded.
Yeah.
Road
So,
streets, but, you know.
Okay.
yeah, so to answer your question, it's been a long time. There is intention on doing it. Potholes we can do pretty quickly. As far as full road repair, we do have intention on doing it, but it's just a financial issue. But we're going for money all the time. If we get the money to do it, we will do it.
And
Yeah, no, but I
So
mean,
it's on our radar.
and this
now with selling so homes with, high values
I know.
and all those things.
I understand.
And-
the taxes
I
for the
understand.
city.
We
So
still
I-
don't have the funds to do that.
Okay.
I understand. But we're always getting
And-
more
Not
funds
really,
in.
because it's because, I mean, I'm saying that because I think it's important for all the community to have a very beautiful city. The same
So-
thing
Of
that
course.
I have been with Christie, you're trying to push the tree project. There are streets that need smaller street to make the city,
course.
better place.
Of course.
So, I think, I just wanted to throw that out, so, to consider or to plan for finance, whatever you guys.
Yeah.
for the
We were
city.
already planning for it. Councilperson Urban?
Yes, there is a resilient streets master plan for essentially the entire village to honestly completely redo almost every street. But that finality will most likely coincide with portions of the stormwater plan that's taking place, because streets will be torn up for that, which means streets will have to be replaced for that. And so that's an opportunity to replace the street that's already going to be replaced, right? And then additionally, when when the sewer project comes through, as sewer goes through those areas, again, that's an opportunity to redo the street under the new plan. So again, with timelines, that plan exists, but it has not yet come to full fruition in terms of coming in front of the council and voting on it and saying, yes, this is what we're gonna do. But even though that hasn't happened yet, that plan is still moving forward. That is where the council is trying to go. The plan is actively being worked on and will be presented to the council. So that's not fully abstract. It is a plan that's coming into realization. There is no timeline on that, but again, it would coincide with those 2 other larger infrastructure projects in the meantime. It would be, I mean, we're looking for grants. We're talking to Tallahassee. We're talking to the county. Anywhere we would be able to get funding to redo streets, we're looking for it. And so it is an active top priority throughout the village.
Yeah, and the other one is the tree project that was canceled, that we have been, talking about since 2 years. Since 2 years, the tree project, that's something that, that I, Christy brought
Yeah.
that up to me. Yeah, I think it was 2 years that it was approved and it was canceled. And
What is
then
that?
The tree project.
No, it's,
No.
the budget, we have the funds, we just didn't have the contractor because it was a matched grant from
Yeah.
Miami-Dade County. And so because of that, we have to wait for them to release that contractor who hasn't performed. But
Yeah.
we have always had the funds, but it's a matched grant, it's not,
So it's gonna happen or
It's gonna
not?
happen.
yeah, it's gonna happen, we're
yeah.
gonna do
So-
it, it's just, it's been 2 years, we haven't
It
had
has
those
been
trees
2
planted.
years, yeah.
It's coming, Ms. Serrano, your tree is gonna come, I promise you. But to speak about the streets, again, we don't have the budget for that. We did a streets analysis for renovation. In 2019, it's on our village website. And in 2019, it would cost us $6 million to do that. Now it's 2024 and things are different. I'm sure it's going to be a lot more. But we just don't have those funds to renovate our roads. So it's going to have to be in phases, and it's going to have to be with our resiliency plan. So I said we're going to have this meeting on April 9th. That's part of it. The swales and streets. We're going to talk about ways we can, if anything, what can we do about the flooding in certain areas, French drains versus permeable paving in certain areas. All of that's going to be addressed there too. So please come, because also the trees, that's a part of the whole swale system that's supposed to help with the drainage and the flooding. But we have to also now plant in a different way than we've planted before, because then those root systems, we've had some issues, but we're planting in the right way, so we want to do it the appropriate way. So please come and also go on the survey and fill that in. But we are doing the streets master plan, swales master plan, and then we just have to then provide that as we request funding. Because that's what, every time we go to request grants and funding from Tallahassee, whatever, they're always asking, where's your plan? Or are you shovel ready? What do you, what do you have? So that's where we need our residents to weigh in for us. So please show up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else good in welfare?
And I've got one thing too, Mayor.
All right.
Would I need to say my name once again?
Absolutely.
Okay, Eric, 311 Northeast 36th Street. Hi, guys. Speaking of one thing that helps, I think it's propagation. Our house, we aim to make it a very lush forest. We live in Sherwood Forest, so it's like really green. I do a lot of propagation, and propagation really helps. So we don't have any problem with drainage. So maybe we could start a propagation. We could start propagating together. Some sort of initiative in which we could do that, because it actually helps. I see that my neighbors' houses, they'll soak. In my house, the plants will just drain the water. So it's amazing. I did love the survey that we had to answer it. There were great suggestions in that, and I'd love to work with you guys if you have any plans on writing grants for historical or preservation, or I'm very interested in that. So if you know of any grants, Mayor. By the way, thank you so much. When our tree fell, you were the best. And if you have any grants that you know of and you need hands-on, we can take part in that. So I wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll definitely keep you on speed dial, my brother. Thank you very much. We'll reach out to you if possible. Anybody else good in welfare before we're out of here? Yes. You can come right here. You can say your name and address for the record. Just say your full name, your address.
My name is Enrique, 311 Northeast 36th Street. So I had 3 points. One is security-wise, I think the rail crossing here is very bad. I mean, I love to bike, and the rail hold that we have here in 87, when you need to cross, you literally have to go over with the cars, right? And I imagine sometimes I walk through too, and it's risky. I mean, there is holes, and you have to pass on the other side. Whose responsibility would be to create a more safer environment? And I think all this area is very walkable and biking, and this is really safe issue in my
Are you
opinion.
specifically talking about coming off of Biscayne?
Yeah. Crossing any sides, I mean, it's terrible. There is no space for walking or bike.
Yeah, so Councilperson Urban was talking about how we're doing resilient streets and things like that. Myself and Manager Lou have been working on this for a while with Northeast 2nd. We were starting off with Northeast 2nd because we wanted to make it more walkable because for various reasons, but if you kind of notice, once you get to Miami Shores, it's much more walkable. It's much more of a downtown feel. It's much more like that. So myself and Manager Lou, we've been in numerous meetings with that about Northeast 2nd. Now you're talking about the village-wide, more or less.
He's talking about
No,
right.
just the
he's
railroad
talking about
crossing
right here.
just after the
Just the
village
railroad
hall.
crossing.
Yeah.
Right here.
So,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So you're basically saying where the railroad crossing is, like there's no sidewalk, you kind of have to go in the street
No bike,
and
no
then
side,
no
yeah.
bike, no sidewalk,
Right,
and
like
things
It's
like
really
that.
dangerous. I mean,
Right, like
most
I was
roads.
under the impression that construction company was coming back, and the reason they left the street that way was because they were going to be tearing it up again in a matter of a few days.
Yeah, but I think he means just in general, Councilperson Urban, that he's just saying like as you're walking across the street right there where the railroad is, there's no sidewalk or anything, so you have to walk into the street.
The sidewalk
Yeah.
disappears from the south side and reappears on the north side. You have to cross from south to north, and then there's no markings in the street itself. And then in addition to
Yeah.
that, because the way the sidewalk
Yeah.
ends when you're traveling west, right here on the south side,
Yeah,
it's all knotted up and gnarly. So anybody like in a wheelchair or any type of
yeah.
limited mobility is going to have difficulty traversing that. And then again, they experience the same thing once they cross the tracks right over here to the north side, picking up the sidewalk where it commits. And then there's even an incline that I think is probably too much for a lot of people, probably for some elderly people. That little incline right down there is
I'm
probably
good. So
yeah. So yeah,
So-
but yeah.
County's responsibility.
Okay.
I mean, it is,
Can we do anything as a village to force them to? Because I think we're gonna have an accident there
Well,
at some point.
Well,
Seems to
I was
be
just
very clearly.
gonna say. So we'll start to reach out about that because there's two things. So there's the county, which we have two of the wonderful representatives here, but there's the county, but there's also the train track. So there's the federal FEC, is FEC? FEC. So there's the FEC also. So we have to get permission from them also. So government moves as slow as possible, but when you have two or more governmental entities, is even worse. But yeah, so we'll start to jump on that. We appreciate you bringing that to
Or
our.
maybe pushing Brightline. I mean, they are private,
our
they
attention.
could move fast, and it's in their interest that there is no accidents on their railroads. At the
Yeah,
same
we
time.
definitely
It's
don't want any of those accidents. But yeah, so we'll start to go after that. All right, we'll start to go after that.
Just concerned about, as I said, I bike, and
Yeah.
for me it's always a little bit stressing.
Yeah.
But looking the overall idea of tranquility that we have, I think it's a
Yeah.
big problem that we have.
No, absolutely. And I really didn't really think about it. And you're the first person to bring it up to us. So we'll start to kind of inquire about
Need
that.
to
and
come
look
more
into
to
it.
the, but
No,
it's
you're
also
good.
our responsibility to bring suggestions.
No, I understand. Yeah, and I really never think. And I walk all the time. I just never thought about
And
it.
two other suggestions that I have is I've seen in Miami Shores they have those public bike fixing stations. I don't know if you have seen you can pump and that, again, I mean I live in Sherwood Forest and I think it's a great area. I see a lot of people using this area, and I'm super happy to see that people use the city overall. But I think it would be such a nice adding if you had a
It's low
bike.
tech. It's low tech too. It's just a simple kind of
Simple
station.
tools, and it's fixed. There is
Yeah.
no stalling problem or anything.
Yeah, I
don't
know
how
exactly. They
get
have
it,
like
but
they
it's
have like 15 or 20 different
they
like
have
things
different
hanging from it.
locations.
Like they have like
different tools, yeah.
different tools hanging from that particular. Yeah,
and a
for
pump
sure.
and everything, and also brings the idea that we are a very bike
course,
safe and
of
healthy
course.
community overall.
Of course.
And the second suggestion is composting. I think I've seen
Okay.
in Miami Beach they have public composting areas where the
Yeah.
communities can bring composting together. And rather than doing it in my house, if I had something that is a community's composting project, I would love to.
So we
contribute to.
looked. So we looked at composting in the past, and we don't have a location in El Portal where we'd be able to do it. What we do have is a company that essentially, I don't know if you see them around, the pink buckets, but you can essentially collect your compost, and they will come and collect it, and then it is used on farms in the Redlands. It's like a cooperative. So there is at least one organization that there is an option at least to feel like you're accomplishing something with your compost, even though we don't have like a community composting directly in El Portal. We tried to figure out a spot to get it done locally, and it wasn't possible. So we were lucky enough to find a company that does offer a service in Miami-Dade County that is responsive with being able to compost.
So there is no area that we could imagine a composting place in El Portal. So I mean, the problem about the compost, of course, you have to drive, and then it's pollution aggregated to the compost, and it's not ideal in the terms of ecological protection.
Right. Well, it's actually the El Portal is already one of the smallest footprints as far as the municipality goes in the county. Almost every available lot in the village is privately owned. It's not public land. So then when it comes down to what our options as the village are, they're technically non-existent. So that's how we arrived at, I believe we found this company and invited them into the village to they were trying to launch their company here in the county. And so that was the solution that we essentially arrived at.
If we can have information about the company, I haven't seen, but I would love to realize. And if there is any chance for any of those private, also new things being built in El Portal to dedicate an area for local composting, I think would be great. Our trees would love, and for sure we would be even better on the footprints, which I think it's an ideal scenario for us, right?
Sure. Let me give a quick update about that. So a while ago, it actually started from the chairperson of the Resiliency and Sustainability Task Force, Elizabeth Fata Carpenter, who's the executive director and the head lawyer for the Everglades Law Center. She lives right there in Sherwood Forest. And she brought myself and manager Lou a composting company, which is what Councilperson Urban was talking about, Compost for Life. And so myself, manager Lou, so Miami-Dade County doesn't have, and I think even South Florida doesn't have a municipality where it's a full compost program. So we were going to be the first. That's what Councilperson Urban was talking about. We would be the first in Miami-Dade County, and I believe in South Florida, south of Orlando or something like that. But we didn't want to have, because, for example, you all pay for your garbage services, your waste services. It wasn't going to be that expensive, but it would have to be the same way to where every household, whether they compost it or not, it would be a cost. And so just like with the trash services, the waste services, they would come around, I think it was like once a week or something like that, and they were going to pick up compost from everybody who put it outside in that pink bucket that Councilperson Urban was talking about. You just put it out in front and everybody was going to come. The amount of money that every household would have to pay was significant, right? Now, waste is something that everybody's brought into. Compost is not something that everybody's brought into. So I was like, myself and manager Lou was like, man, we're going to get some heat for this, because there's going to be a whole bunch of people like, I don't even know what compost is. Why am I paying now an extra cost for something that I don't even use? So then we were close. We were like 75% close to getting that grant. I mean, we worked on it so hard for months. And at the end, we just didn't get it. So it's not over. We're still trying. There's also a new company that's now coming to the mix. The Miami Herald just did a special on her, just did an article on her about 2 months ago. They call her the Compost Queen. She's also in Homestead. And she has a company also, and I spoke to her, she's willing to give us a better price. So we're still working on it, all right? And I really want to go down as the first full municipality that does compost, and that's really a goal of mine, amongst other things that we've accomplished under this administration. We appreciate you guys, but there you go.
Thank you for this. But I would prefer a community composting, because I think it's about learning to the composting situation. Yeah. It's an educational. It's not about someone taking care of you.
I understand what you're saying.
This brings value for a propaganda way to say that, but the people are not really educated around composting.
I understand what you're saying, and that might be the direction to go in if we can't get, what we're looking for as far as the grant and everything for everybody. We just want, like the way I was thinking about it was, we just want composting to be done as much as possible. So we just understood that if you make it to where they come into the person's house, it's going to be, you know, much more convenient for everybody. And I think then we would have a higher percentage of people that would be participating in it. That's all. But I understand what
there
you're
is
saying.
cost and there is also CO2 related to the composting because it's a private company. So
I see what you're
I'm
saying.
not sure it balances.
I got you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll look into all options. Thank you very much. Anybody else, good and welfare, come and say your name and address for the record. And the floor is yours.
Yep.
Hi again, Thomas Pulliam, 205 Northeast 86th Street. I have a couple points. My first one, and I'm glad that the Commissioner's Office is here because it might be relevant to your work. The light rail transit stop that originally was planned for 79th Street, and then somehow that got kicked off the table, and now it's just a little Haiti stop, and then North Miami. What are our local representatives here at the village, at the district level, doing to advocate for our area not to be skipped over? Have we written a letter to the decision makers? You know, what has been done to date, and what more is possible that maybe is planned or is on the table in order to, you know, see a stop in this area, which was originally part of the plan, and as I'm sure most everyone's familiar, at some point was taken off.
Yeah. You want to go to your second question? Or you want the answer to that one first?
No, yeah,
All right.
please go ahead.
Okay. I'll have them fill in for some, but so there hasn't been a letter written. Now, there's been a couple of things. There's been meetings with myself, Manager Lou, representatives from North Bay Village, and the owners of the shopping plaza right there on 79th, because we wanted to bring in business, you know, people that you know own that place, because for them to advocate for us would even be even more power. So we've had a lot of internal meetings. We also spoke to individuals in the county regarding this, and we've had a couple of lively discussions, because to us it didn't make any sense. And when you look at the map, to me it makes absolutely no sense that it's 62nd Street, and then it's like Biscayne and like 150 is I forgot, is FIU. It's like the FIU, Biscayne. And so you look at that, and then when you look at 79th, that connects North Bay Village, that's El Portal, that's Miami Shores. Why wouldn't you want to do 79th? So we've had those discussions, and we've had internal meetings here. And we're going to kind of go with the united front like that with the business owners and the ones we've been discussing with, and we're still going to continue that fight. And we're kind of in the organization aspect with that, and that's why we're having those internal meetings before we go out for like attack.
Yeah, totally makes sense, but
Yeah.
what's sort of, I guess, the plan moving forward, right? Because I don't know what their timeline is, but they've
Yeah.
already made a decision that was maybe, I don't know, 6 months
Yeah.
or so ago.
Yeah.
I believe the article I read also said something like one reason they possibly cut that stop was increasing cost for the Little River area specifically, which the river is always part of the geography, so I don't know how that was overlooked.
And
But
my-
even if it's not on 79th Street, anywhere in that span between Little Haiti and the North Miami
Yeah.
area, if 79th Street is no longer the ideal location, we should still be advocating for public transit, the light rail, for our community to access.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you can jump in and now finish.
Oh,
mine,
okay,
yeah.
thanks. I actually gave a presentation last week on it.
Yeah.
We're always talking about it. We were told that, because several years ago, these stops have been already in plans for like a decade, for over a decade. But we kept pushing, what about 79th Street? What about this vacant trailer park? And that's been going on for a number of years. We were finally told no, and they told us because we don't have the density. Well, the density would come if you would just do something with the lot, because there will be people living there.
And they told us somebody from the past messed up.
And so the former
Somebody from the
elected
past.
official
Yes.
did not, if it
Ruined
couldn't
the
be the way
situation.
that person wanted it, then that person did not put it in this area.
Yes.
Did not push to have it put in the area and let it be moved to another area. So there have been some political issues, like Mayor said, some internal things that kind of, that are forcing us to have this uphill battle. But I'm always asking. I ask because I had a CITT presentation to give about El Portal and what we're doing in transit. And part of my presentation was, well, if we had a transit stop here, then we could have more transit, we could do something that would help with our residents and also, alleviate some of the traffic in this area. And it benefits North Bay Village, El Portal, Miami Shores, City of Miami. Whereas, something in Little Haiti, we've got this big glut of residents who don't get to utilize that. And we've got 79th Street that's, north and south, east and west. So we're pushing for it, but I think those plans were already in the works, and we've got an uphill battle unless we get some people on that lot.
Yeah, so how can we, either as residents or again, more of a united front, how can we apply any pressure? Who do we apply that to? Is that something our district is advocating on our behalf for? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be sensitive here. We do have the district, go over there. So there's things, we're almost there, and there's things that's happening in these private meetings. There's a lot of stuff politically I can't just say in a public meeting. Call me up or text me.
And
and
those
I
meetings aren't open to public right now?
No, those meetings are open to public. Yeah, those are intergovernmental. Those are intergovernmental, but we're almost there. We're just getting the final details out before we come out with all the players and officially with the letters and things you're talking about. Okay, but call me up and I'll give you the inside information. I'm not sure. We'll talk about that another time. I'll give you my card. You can contact me. We'll have the District 3 representative kind of say what they can.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Rosalie Augustine, Jean Lewis, Intergovernmental Affairs Coordinator, Marcus Barfield, District Coordinator for County Commissioner Keon Hardeman, District 3. Your statement as in what is the county or your elected officials doing, I have to say that Commissioner Hardeman, we clearly remember on a meeting when this was being presented to the elected officials, he mentioned, verbally said to staff, what about 79th Street? And in addition to that, asking without stopping the current plan, because like you're saying, this was years in the making. This was many, many years prior to his arrival. What would be the best plan to include 79th Street that would, some way we can figure out how to include 79th Street without stopping the track that's there projected on right now. So Commissioner Hardeman is clearly aware of the need and the gap that's between North Miami, if you want to call it North Miami Beach, on Biscayne Boulevard, on the railroad track on 159th, and that the next stop would be 62nd Street, still in District 3, but we understand that there is a gap between our municipalities, El Portal, Miami Shores, and then you're entering the city of Miami. So he is aware of that. The village, feel free to continue to petition. You can write a letter to the commissioner's office. He could use that as well. And talking to the administration, specifically to our DTPW director, Director Cluckley, which he verbally had made the comment on the dais. I'll give you the notes and the time, and if it's not the dais, I'll give you the meeting time. But I remember the commissioner clearly saying to staff, what about 79th Street? For an additional stop, not to reduce what we have on 62nd Street where the next stop's over, but how do we also include the connectivity between our municipalities? So Mayor, I'll be more than happy to provide council persons the information.
And just one extra piece of ammunition in that discussion is 79th Street is beach access. So North Bay Village, Normandy Isles, North Beach, like South Beach, Mid Beach, North Beach, right? Surfside, all those communities would be massive, and it would take pressure off of other points of beach access further south, like MacArthur, the Julia Tuttle, the Venetian, and whatever they come up with in terms of the intermodal, the mover or whatever to the beach. So 79th Street would be critical in taking some of that pressure off as well. And then also, so I think, so that would be my argument would be,
Your comment is received. again, Commissioner Hardeman specifically asked for 79th Street without disrupting the current pathway, the current project, but for future dates, let's see if we could add 79th Street to that. I'll get you further detail. I'll give the village further detail, and then they can communicate to you. You can stay in contact with our office for such.
So if I understand correct, so far it's just sort of been talking in internal meetings and not yet like creating a plan for how to get that.
The plan is, the plan
Is already.
is already, but the plan that's being done in the internal meetings is also gonna come to fruition as far as moving ahead.
And the plan is a sales pitch to add, the plan is a sales pitch to addendum to an existing plan.
Right. That is the most important part. It's the ask for is to add 79th Street to what has been already presented to the public.
Okay, even though it was already taken off, so it was taken off, and then there was an amendment to put it back on, is what I understand?
No, there's no amendment. There's
No.
no amendment. There's an effort to get it
Right.
reintroduced to the plan. There is
Okay.
an effort to make the point that this
Right.
is not just a simple ask, but also a true benefit to the overall plan. It is a sales pitch, and it is high stakes, and that's where we're at.
Okay, so it's not like there was ever a vote at like a county level
No.
or anything about
No,
which
no.
which stops?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I know a lot of people are interested in this, so I know we can get a lot more engagement
Right.
to push for it.
Yeah.
To the manager's point about traffic as well, I mean, even being in a low density right now, and so many vacant businesses as well, even on Second Avenue there, Biscayne Boulevard, between 89th Street to 79th Street, also on Second Avenue, tons of traffic all the time with the current density. So
You can only imagine if
you
it's
know,
more, yeah.
obviously it's going to take many years to get something,
Yeah.
with or whether or not we get our stop or not. But yeah,
No, I got
everyone
you.
knows the traffic situation as well.
Yeah, we're good. What's the second thing?
So my second question is code enforcement meetings. So currently, when is the next one scheduled for? On the village website right now, it just says to be determined, and this right now is the last week of the first quarter of the year. So I'd just like to know when that meeting is taking place.
The next code enforcement committee meeting would be most likely the next time that the planning and zoning committee meetings, and that would be the same evening. So, most likely would be in the second week of April. I don't want to
I
commit
think
to a
it's
date,
third.
but
It's
yeah.
the second or third week of April this year,
Yeah.
depending on this.
The idea is that it happens earlier in the month, so that if any business needs to get done for the general council meeting, it can be noted and advertised and everything else. So typically, the committee meetings will happen in week 1 or week 2 of a month. But there's nothing on the calendar right now for the first week of April. So most likely, in all likelihood, that would take place the second week of April on a Tuesday.
Okay, awesome. And then is the code enforcement committee meeting separate from planning and zoning?
Yes.
Or is it true?
It's separate.
Back to back?
Correct.
Okay, because I was at the last planning and zoning, and I don't believe we had a.
They don't meet every single time together, but that's
Okay.
the way it will occur that way at the next planning and zoning meeting.
Okay, great.
Yep.
That is my question.
Or the evening of the next planning. Yeah, there you go. Better said.
Yeah, he's a code enforcement chair, so he'll schedule it whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever he wants.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin. Anybody else good in welfare? Come on,
Yeah,
talk about-
I'll make it quick.
Oh yes, that's right, Councilperson Irvine.
Oh, sorry, I won't skip you. Dr. Lightfoot Ward, go ahead.
I just want to mention a couple of things that's coming up. It's a long ways off, but I'll keep doing this until someone hears it. Everyone knows about the Village Streets and Swells survey on April 9th on Tuesday here at the Village Hall, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Also, the El Portillo General Election candidate qualifying date is in August for those of you that interested in being a candidate. Last but not least, I was giving something about a tuition-free public charter school. Came to my attention, was brought to my attention at Sports Leadership Arts Management, and it will be at the 542 Northwest 12th Avenue in Miami, of course, 33136. Sounds interesting. Anybody that's listening can go www.slammiami.com. Sounds like one of those things that happen for those of you that are not older than I am, that allow for leadership training as a part of the school. And this is a tuition-free public charter school. So if anybody's looking at developmental, how do you say that? Developmental, not sports necessarily, but leadership arts, come give me a call. I'll be happy to give you a copy of this tuition-free public charter school. Last but not least, did I say anything about the qualifying candidates?
You did.
I did? Okay. Mayor, I'm finished.
All right, thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Urban.
So I know there was a lot of emotions earlier. I'm a very emotional person. I typically wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I just want to say this about the relationship between the village and the building department and the residents, and specifically businesses that interact with our building department. So most of you know, I say it all the time, I came from the restaurant business, 25 years, started in the kitchens, dishwasher in fact. And so, you know, a couple different times over those 25 years, I tried to get out of the restaurants. One of those times I found myself as a new car salesman up in Coral Springs. And I was less than 90 days into my new job, made it out of the restaurants, and the 2008 market crash happened. I'm standing on the showroom floor of a new car dealership watching the stock market plummet, and listening to coworkers of mine who were part of the problem. They were overextended in real estate investments, multi-unit properties and things like this. And so in all of that, I found myself back in the restaurants. And it's fine. I have a passionate love affair with hospitality, so I'm quite happy in that realm. But I did find myself back in the restaurants again. So that was a 2008 market crash. A few years later, I was working on a property in North Beach, and they announced basically that the property was part of the Lehman Brothers liquidation bankruptcy deal. Okay, so 2008 coming back to bite me again. All upper management at that property started leaving immediately. The property was like a sinking ship, and everyone scattered out ahead of the imminent sale of that property, right? And it's just been fascinating to me over the years as someone who's worked so long in the restaurant business. I've never heard of one occurrence ever anywhere in the history of business on earth that a restaurant has ever been bailed out. I come from an industry that is largely ignored, invisible, and almost every single worker in it is a marginalized person. And so I have a difficult time squaring how it is that this concept that a business is owed anything at all for essentially failure is beyond me. It really, really just baffles my mind. And I wish he was still here to hear these words, because hopefully he'd take them as a word of encouragement. In a couple of years, the young man who was here earlier is going to see this as a speed bump in his career. He's about to sell a $1.7 million property that, I mean, I have an idea of what he paid for, and I can look it up certainly. But understand this. Anyone going into business, the impetus is on that person to have it right. I come from an industry with an over 90% mortality rate in the first 3 years. So while I am a deeply empathetic person, usually to a fault when it comes to social issues and being a citizen and being a neighbor, I do not understand why any business anywhere on this planet would ever be given a bailout for anything. It is a risk. It is a risk, and it is on the business owner to do the diligence. It is a risk. And so it is just so unbelievable when these huge companies are propped up and supported. And obviously, this person tonight was not part of some huge company. He's just a regular person trying to, you know, make some things happen for himself in the world, right? So it's not like there's any malice there whatsoever. It's simply, it comes down to an issue of miscommunication. But I don't want there to be any confusion that, you know, as we sitting on the council are callously disregarding the plight of any resident. That's not the issue. I hope that the residents could glean from that back and forth, specifically with Councilperson Vice Mayor Perella and the resident. There has been an exceptional amount of diligence with that issue specifically, and I will just say this as a final point. There were no receipts whatsoever brought tonight, okay? Nobody brought receipts, and that in and of itself is telling. So if there were receipts to be had, then I have no doubt that we'd be sitting here staring at a whole bunch of receipts. And so that, for me, was my own personal reason for supporting Dr. Lightfoot Ward's decision in that matter. But I try not to miss an opportunity as someone who sits in front of a microphone like this to say, it just baffles my mind that we worship business when business has given us nothing but birth defects and cancer. It's just mind-boggling to me. So there you go.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Erbaum. Anybody else good in welfare before we close out? We're good? All right. Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second? Second by Councilperson Erbaum. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing none, the regular council meeting for Tuesday, March 26, 2024 is adjourned at 9:34 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody.